There's a lot of weirdos in Twitch chat. I might even be talking about you specifically. Maybe you're one of the goofballs I'm referring to. And unfortunately today, one of these weirdos crossed a line and became a criminal. A streamer by the name of Just Foxy had her car lit on fire by an arsonist who was a stalker of hers from Twitch chat. This deranged imbecile drove 700 miles to this streamer's house to try and meet her, I suppose, and then eventually set her car on fire. Brother, I wouldn't drive 700 miles to drink from the fountain of youth. This is crazy shit. This is unhinged behavior, obviously. I believe this is a case of a parasocial obsessed fan. At least that's the impression I get from the story, because this kind of thing has unfortunately happened before in the past. It's horrifying.
I watched him put a brick on my car, on the hood, and some pot. And he lit something sticking out of it and walked away casually, like he didn't do anything. The next clip after that was the front end of my car engulfed in flames. The firefighters came very quickly, and I'm very thankful for that, because the fire spread to the fence and burnt the side of my house as well, which my mom and animals were inside of.
Now, Just Foxy does have security cameras around her house, and she was able to capture the entire incident. So this was a big say cheese moment, because she caught this guy in 4K for the criminal cringe compilation, and according to her, he was also arrested. But she hasn't posted anything about the individual or the arrest yet, because clearly it's an ongoing and very sensitive case. But she did post the CCTV footage from the event, so I'll go ahead and show you the raw footage of it. Goober alert, goober alert. He tries to put on like a disguise here, so he's got a mask and a hat pulled down real low, but it's pretty inefficient because it still looks like he's got some patchy ass mutton chops there. So I'm pretty excited to see his mugshot to see what he looks like, though I can already wager a guess that it's not pleasant. So this little worm sets up the arson cupcake and lights the birthday candle and waddles away, and it engulfs the car in flames. This does not appear to be his first rodeo with arson. He was very casual about the whole thing. It also appears that this was premeditated. He traveled 700 miles with this as his primary goal, to light her shit on fire. Because this doesn't appear to be a contraption that he just MacGyvered together with like fucking sticks, glue, and spit. This appears like he traveled with all the materials he'd need to commit arson. Though I'm not an expert, I'm just speculating. Obviously, this whole thing is pretty traumatic, not only for Just Foxy, but her family. I mean, like she mentioned, the flames did spread to the house, and the mom and animals were in the house at the time that all of this went down. So, just a really scary situation overall.
I just never thought that when I started streaming back in 2015 that something like this would ever happen to me.
It is super sad. It is something that most people aren't going to think about when they start streaming, because I imagine most people, myself included, go into a stream assuming that everyone that's watching them is just there to be entertained and nothing further. Everyone's, mentally stable. There's not going to be any kind of fishy business or anything weird afoot. But unfortunately, it's just becoming more and more common for viewers to form this parasocial relationship with the content and the creators that they enjoy watching. And I think that plays a large part into a situation like this, where that parasocial relationship becomes an obsession. And then it becomes a stalker. And then it becomes this. And it's fucking scary. By no means is it just Foxy's fault. Unfortunately, this has happened a couple of times in the past. Like Amaranth, a little while back, had a stalker in a similar situation where the stalker drove fucking, tons of miles to her house and lit her trash on fire to try and burn down her house. Literally just like fucking cremate the place she lives. Somehow that would work in his favor so they could live happily ever after or some shit. It's deranged. It's scary. Amaranth also had another stalker that sold all of his worldly possessions on the other side of the world, literally gave away all of his corporeal belongings, so that way he could move closer to Amaranth so he could stalk her more efficiently. It's fucking scary. There are people like that, unfortunately, on Twitch, and I feel like a lot of people outside of the streaming space don't really understand that. So I want to tackle a couple of conspiracies that have sprouted up from this whole situation, because somehow Twitter brain rot found a new way of shocking me with the stupidity. There were a lot of people claiming that this is all baloney. This is a bunch of nonsense mumbo jumbo. she's faking everything. There are people just outright denying that the CCTV footage was even real. They were literally covering their eyes and plugging their ears, like acting as though the CCTV footage doesn't exist of the guy literally burning her car down. So I don't even know where to start. You are too far gone if you think that this is somehow CGI or deep faked. That's ridiculous. And then the next big conspiracy theory is that it's all an insurance scam from Just Foxy, which is a crazy take. Because for the insurance scam to have worked here, she would have shot herself in the foot by filming it, because now there is a person there. There is a person in the footage, and that person has been arrested, according to Just Foxy. And if this was all an insurance scam, that guy would squeal. He would absolutely be like, she paid me to do it, this is all just an insurance scam. Like, everything would crumble. It would be a terrible insurance scam idea to film your own insurance scam, which is why insurance scammers usually don't want the video evidence. Like, that's usually what unwinds and untangles a scam like that. So that would be a crazy plot twist if somehow this was all an insurance scam, because there would be so many things wrong with that theory. And then the other thing I keep seeing from people, which absolutely shows me the majority of the internet is actually 9 years old now, is them saying, like, why does she care? She's got insurance. She'll just get the car right back, or, things like that. What do you mean? Does insurance also cover the trauma of having a complete stranger go and set your shit on fire in the middle of the night and nearly kill your mom and dog as well? Like, what are you talking about? Even if insurance does cover the cost of the car, that doesn't take away the entire situation. That doesn't just erase the memories like a neuralizer from Men in Black. Like, that doesn't solve the situation. What the fuck? Like, you'd probably cry if somebody, like, came over and took a fucking Cheeto out of your bag of Cheetos that you're eating right now. Like, it doesn't make any sense to try and write off this whole situation. Like, who cares? Insurance is there for a reason. It's so fucking stupid. People are so desperate for everything to be an argument, or so desperate to feel special and intelligent, like I'm the only galaxy brain that was big enough to piece together the real puzzle behind the scenes. This is not a clear-cut case of arson like everyone seems to think. It goes much deeper than that. And then vomiting out the dumbest fucking ideas ever. It's just infuriating because on the video she posted about it, the comment section is an absolute mess. Pyrocynical made a video about this just recently, and he pointed out a lot of the comments, so I went to check, and there's even more now. Like, the video is heavily disliked with her just sharing her experience with this very awful event that happened to her, and there's so many people just saying she deserved it for being on Twitch, or it's all just a lie, it's ridiculous, you won't fool me. It's so fucking dumb. There is no such thing as innocent until proven guilty here. I don't think she's guilty of some kind of conspiratorial giant insurance scam. That would be nuts. All of it just is so ridiculous. I don't know how we got to this point where everyone wants to make everything a problem. Like, no, we can't agree that your car being set on fire and your house almost burning down is a bad thing. In fact, here's why it's a good thing and you deserved it. Like, what the fuck? Like, how terminally online and ill can you be to actually have that take? But yeah, horrible situation. I wanted to talk about it a little bit. This apparently happened like a week or so ago, and she just now released the information about it because she's been dealing with the aftermath of the situation. So I'm excited to see more details from the arrest because I really want to see the guy's mugshot. I'm very excited for that. And yeah, that's really... Last year, I was talking about an ongoing situation with an obsessed Twitch viewer. Now, at the time, there was a lot of information still unknown. All we had was some of the surveillance camera footage, which I'll briefly show you. But I just learned 10 days ago, a YouTube channel called Midwest Safety posted the entire body cam of the situation as well as that Twitch chatter's arrest. Now, at the time, we didn't know too much about the individual behind it, but now, a year later, I know more about this guy than I do some of my own cousins. So his name is Farhan Jami. He has been arrested and we know his fate. Spoiler alert, it's a prison sentence. And we have the body cam footage where he is looking like a pathetic fucking goober. But before showing you the body cam footage, I'll go ahead and tell you what the motivation was, because I imagine a lot of you were able to piece it together, kind of sniff it out. He was one of Just Foxy's big donators. He had apparently donated a lot of money over a period of time and then found out she had a boyfriend and was so upset by that that he flew out to her area, then drove to her house to set her car on fire as a way of getting revenge.
The suspect, wearing a loose-fitting pair of lighter-colored sweatpants, latex gloves, a darker-colored shirt, a hat, and a mask, sets a box-shaped object on the vehicle. He then sets another object on top of it with a fuse-like wire sticking out of it. The suspect lights it with a lighter and walks away, which leads to the entire front end of the vehicle being engulfed in flames.
Here's the director's cut of the arson, and you get a good look at him and the device that he made. Dude made a goddamn Fortnite gadget here for this fire. He made a certified whatchamahooza. It's like a fucking kids next door contraption for this fire. It's like a bucket and a fuse and a brick, and then he sets it on fire and it burns the whole car down and spreads a bit to the house.
This officer, as well as many others in the area, both on foot and patrolling in their vehicles, all begin to look for any suspicious people in the vicinity. 10 minutes later, officers find a vehicle parked on the side of the road, only about 2 minutes away from the crime scene.
What's going on?
Not exactly a criminal super genius here, not the mastermind you'd read about from like a comic book. So the guy commits this crime, and then he drives 2 minutes away from the scene of the crime and takes a bit of a snooze, or at least pretends to sleep. You don't expect a lot of intelligence from some deranged lunatic like this, but you would expect someone that just committed a serious felony to at least have the wherewithal to drive further away. But instead, he just stays at the scene of the crime, basically, and just tries to catch some Z's. Maybe he was just so satisfied with himself that he just needed to pass out for some wet dreams. Like, I don't know what the thought process could have possibly been, but that's him. He was parked just 2 minutes away from this place in the same neighborhood.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. Just wanted to rest up a little bit. I have a long drive.
Why are you doing it out here?
No reason.
Hey, keep your hand up.
I'm just putting my seat up.
Well, keep your hands up. Where do you live?
I'm from New York.
You're from New York?
Yeah.
What are you doing out here?
Just came to visit a friend, really.
Where's the friend live?
Down in Cincinnati, but he's working, like, doing some construction over here.
This guy's a smooth talker. He's got the silver tongue here. He's weaving some very intricate lies. I'm here visiting a friend. That's really kind of the best he's got for that. So why are you sleeping in a random neighborhood if you're here to visit a friend? It's just so good that he happens to be a fucking giant turbo idiot. Because he gets caught immediately. Thank heavens. He didn't get away with this crime at all. And this whole scenario with him only gets even more ridiculous. He is so fucking stupid, it is shocking.
So why did you decide to just pull off in a neighborhood to sleep? I'm so confused.
Because I drove 40 miles here, and I literally came like an hour ago, and I was like shot, and so I just needed to knock out.
So you just pull off into a random neighborhood?
Yeah, I mean, it was right off of the street, whatever it is. I really didn't know where to go. And I'm sorry if like they called the cops or something, because they probably thought I was, I don't know, doing something weird here. But I swear, like, I'm not doing anything crazy out of left field or anything like that.
You mind if we search your car?
No, please, go for it.
He might actually be the worst liar ever. Playing Among Us with this guy must have been just the freest dubs of all time. He cannot spin a coherent story even slightly, and everything he says gets proven wrong within 10 minutes. It's the quickest speed run I've seen for someone's lies getting debunked in a body cam.
The reason why I ask is because there was somebody who set a car on fire.
Who set a car on fire?
Yes.
Like, what do you mean? Like, how do you set a car on fire?
They set the car on fire.
Like they lit the gas tank?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Oh, jeez. Wow. Jiminy Christmas. What do you mean they set a car on fire? How do you even do that? Is that even possible? Can cars even be on fire? Like, what did he do? Like, set the gas on fire? The gas tank? Oh, goodness gracious. Ooh, wow, that's not good. Like, Well, you telling me like maybe put like a box on the hood with a bucket on top and a fuse and then lit that on fire, which burned the whole car down? The car happened to belong to a Twitch streamer or something? Like something like that? That's crazy shit. Whew. Some people, am I right, officer? We gotta be careful. There's psychos out there. Fist bump. Like, this is not even a human way of reacting to something. He is an actual NPC. He's trying so hard to be, like, surprised by it that it gets into, like, fucking Neil Breen level acting. Like, this right here is, something you'd see from Tommy Wiseau's The Room. Oh, geez, how's your sex life? It's so odd, and I feel like the officer immediately knew right then and there, like, yeah, this is the guy. Who would possibly respond to this information like that?
I came because I landed at CVG, and I drove. It's like 40 miles, and I was already shot from the freaking flight.
So where does your friend live?
Somewhere like down there, but he works up here. But no, like something like that. I honestly just made the first right off that road. Made the first right because I was like, yo, I need a place to just knock out for 30 minutes, and it ended up being a few hours. But yeah, I wasn't trying to hurt anybody here.
This officer has now sent a picture from the surveillance footage that shows the suspect, so he can compare it to this man they're investigating.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's good. Yeah, my friend, he's like down over there. I was up over here and then got all scrambled around, and then I just got a little sleepy, so I pulled on over into this neighborhood to take a little 30-minute nap, turned into a few hours. Oh, also, this guy, Goofball, he openly just said multiple times the officers can search his car if they'd like. So obviously they were going to, and they found some pretty incriminating stuff. And then the officers get sent a picture from the surveillance camera, and now they have a picture of the guy in the act of the crime, and they have the guy right there. So now they can look at that picture and look at the guy and see if they match up. And guess what? They match up pretty well.
It's about the same outfit. I want to see if there's a mask in here.
Here's your COVID mask.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got a lighter in here. He's got a torch lighter. Yeah, there's a torch lighter and a blue COVID mask in the center console. There's no luggage. There's no backpack.
Yeah, there's no hat.
It's not the hardest game of Where's Waldo when you have the picture of the guy committing the crime and a guy that looks exactly like it standing in front of you. He's wearing the exact same outfit. And in the car, after getting permission from the guy to search the car, they find a COVID mask as well, which also fits the disguise that the criminal was wearing. The only thing they don't find is a hat. But it's not like the hat is a fucking mask from Mission Impossible where it fully hides his identity. It's not exactly, concealing who he is. It'd be like me putting these glasses on and people going like, where the fuck did Charlie go? He just vanished. Who is that? Who's sitting in his seat right now? Like the hat isn't enough for officers to be like, yeah, it can't be the same guy. He's not wearing a hat. Must be someone else. He must have gone the other way. We got the wrong guy here. But they do still do their due diligence in finding the hat in order to 100% put this in the books that they know they have the right guy.
He's got a beard, he's got the same clothing, he's got the reflective shoes, everything.
Situation down the street where you lit something that caught on fire. I'm going to point blank ask you.
No.
No?
No.
Okay. I understand that you're over here visiting friends, but you parked over here for a reason. Is there anything else you want to tell me?
It's not me.
That's not you?
No.
It sure looks like you and everything you're wearing.
It's not me.
That's not you, huh? Look a little closely.
His poker face is too strong. Even when confronted with the overwhelming evidence, they even show him a picture of himself. He goes, nope, that's not me. It's actually that scene from SpongeBob with Man Ray and Patrick when it came to Man Ray giving Patrick's wallet back.
While searching the area around the suspect's car, officers found multiple plastic bags with a hat, multiple sets of latex gloves, and another mask within them, not even 10 feet away from the vehicle, underneath a pine tree.
Got his gloves and everything. Yep.
Holy shit, how did they even find that? It was so well hidden. It was like finding the One Piece. Ferran did an extraordinary job of burying the evidence by putting it 10 feet away from his car next to a tree. You could have probably seen that by accident just by looking at his car. It was that close to it in plain sight. So they found the hat and everything else that was used in the crime. And so they take it to Ferran saying like, hey man, we found the bag that you tried to hide. Do you want to just confess to it now, or do we have to keep playing this game? Are we still going to go through this song and dance?
Can you explain why no more than 10 feet from your car is a hat that matches the exact picture from the suspect in the video?
I can't, but
Are your fingerprints going to be on that bag?
maybe, I don't know.
Is your DNA going to be in that hat?
It shouldn't.
Okay, so there's no way your DNA can be in that hat. So when we test it, we're not going to find your DNA in there.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't, no.
Okay. I guess I'm a little confused. This is a pretty random, off the beaten
Just so you
path
know, I
area.
did see people walking around here.
Okay, this is a very random area to be.
Just when you thought the chess master was caught in between a rock and a hard place in a checkmate position, he flips the board around on you. You see, he just cooked up a really smart story here. Just so you know, I did see people walking around here. That's good. We never even stopped to think that he could be being framed by people that happen to be walking around this neighborhood at 3 a.m. That is food for thought. We might need to play with that narrative here, that storyline. Actually, I do kind of want to toy with that a little bit. I want to slap the cheeks around on it. Let's experiment here. So you mean to tell me that the criminal in the video that you have seen, that's not you. There just happens to be another person of the exact same build, wearing the exact same clothing that you're wearing, with the exact same beard, with the exact same hair. The only difference is they had their COVID mask on instead of in the center console, and they had a hat. And the real criminal, your doppelganger, was also happening to be walking around at 3 a.m. in the same neighborhood that you decided to randomly park in to take a nap while visiting your imaginary friend. That's the story you're trying to sell me on right here.
Yes. Now look, when I was asleep, somebody might have come thrown a bag there. I don't know.
We'll be back with you in a bit, okay?
I got pretty much everything over here that says you got gloves and a mask. In the other bag, you have gloves, a receipt, a mask, something else, and a hat. So this is everything he was wearing.
So they've got pretty much everything here, and yet there is still more that they gather to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's this guy. They not only have everything he was wearing and everything he used, despite him saying that his DNA shouldn't be on there, which, by the way, isn't even him saying it won't be, because he's still leaving the door open for the possibility that it might be. Like, what the fuck? How could it be there if it's not yours? Like, what happens? Your doppelganger came through, broke into your car while you were sleeping and took some of your hair or grabbed some of your spit while you were asleep and rubbed it all over the material, so that's how your DNA can show up there even though it's not yours? Like, what the fuck? He's not even saying that it won't be. He's saying that it shouldn't be. But I'm already getting off on another tangent for this fucking awful fanfic that he's weaving. But not only do they have all of the material that he was using, they then also have other surveillance camera footage from other houses that confirm he didn't get there at midnight like he claims.
People who live in this area also have surveillance footage that caught the specific times that the suspect parked on the street. Officers discuss these specific times and relate them to the suspect's claim of being parked there since midnight.
2:21 is when it got lit. 2:27 is when they're saying they saw the video of him coming in here. So him being here since midnight is not correct.
So you said you came out here around 12, around midnight? They got video of you pulling in here around 2:25. You've been lying to us from the start, man. So we're taking you back to the PD.
I know the evidence is overwhelming, but I'm not the guy that did this. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just not the guy who gets my hands dirty, you know? Like, it's just not me.
A convincing argument from Ferran here, but the evidence was too much. Every single piece of his story was proven wrong, all in the time span of like 20 minutes maybe. They not only got the accurate time for when he really did pull up, which was minutes after setting the car ablaze, but they also found all of the pieces of clothing and items used in the crime as well, and a picture of him at the crime. So, I think they've got the right guy, I'm pretty confident to say, and he was sentenced to 46 months in prison for this crime. So yeah, just wanted to give you a follow-up to all of it. That's about it. See ya. Good morning, and welcome back to Wacky Weirdo Hour. Boy howdy, do we have an action-packed lineup for you today. Get out your cup of coffee, enjoy your cereal. It's about to be a bit of a ride. Sometimes I'm asked, why do I do this to myself? Why do I dabble in the swamp of cringe? What's the purpose? What's there to gain from staring into the abyss and letting the abyss stare back into you? And the thing is, I unironically feel there's real value here in some lessons to be learned from the lunacy. Let's say there's people out there that haven't really experienced a lot socially in life, suckling mother's bosom, and has never really branched out from the nest to get their own wings and become the social butterfly that they are destined to be. Sometimes people might not recognize that the behavior they're exhibiting is not good and is bad, not productive, is not going to lead anywhere. So by going over some of these absolutely atrocious, downright painful exchanges in the dating scene or like romantic interest, I feel like it can serve as a scared straight kind of moment, like, behold, don't be this guy. And you're like, oh, I don't want to be that guy. What the fuck? He sucks. Okay, alright, I get it now. I know what not to do. Or maybe I'm just reading way too deep into all this. I'm not a fucking hero. I'm not a psychologist. I'm just a guy here laughing at some goofy situations. Anyway, the story for today is one I got tagged in a lot last night when I was at a Lightning game. So I actually watched it unfold in real time and had a sneaking suspicion that by morning this would no longer exist. The poster would probably remove it because things went out of control. That shit went cattywampus. And I was right. The posts were deleted, but I saved them. I made sure to. I said, dag nabbit, you're not keeping this from me. You think you can hide cringe, brush it under the rug, and I won't find it? Nope, I'm lifting that rug up with a big old smile on my face. I'll say, thank you so much for this, yum yum yum, scrumptious. So I got the Library of Alexandria of Cringe, and let's just go ahead and explore. I had to censor so many handles that were tagged in this initial tweet here. It was like a fucking CIA document with all the redactions. But anyway, I've got it in working order. I don't want anyone harassed here, including the original poster or anything, obviously, but I do want to go over this. So they made a call-out post out of nowhere. I don't want to be too rude, but I genuinely can't understand how this goofball, and then he tags the guy, got a beautiful girl like, and then he tags the girl. He says the dorkiest shit, yet has a massive following. I just can't wrap my head around how any girl would go for that. I really commend his efforts not to be rude. I think he did a great job of tiptoeing around it and being polite while also getting to the point. Extraordinary manners, clearly. Excuse me, everybody, not to be rude, but fuck this guy. He's got a girl and I don't, and he's a dork and I'm a Chad. What's going on here, guys? What an injustice. He's not ugly, but Sabrina is objectively hot, where he's average at best. He spends all his time on Twitter, unlike someone who has a full-time job and a ton of money he could use to provide for a stunning woman like herself. Nah, screw not trying to be rude. He's a loser, to be honest. Oh, he was doing such a good job of not being rude too, and then the wheels just fall off. It goes tits up. He really goes off the rails. I like how he's like analyzing this now as if he's a researcher studying the phenomenon. He's average at best, but Sabrina is on like a totally different plane. Like this something's not adding up here. There's something foul afoot. And then he had the gall to criticize that guy for being on Twitter all the time. Meanwhile, Goober is on Twitter all the time making whiny posts like this, just having a temper tantrum, tears in the eyes, shaking his fist. Why is she not with me? I want her. He doesn't deserve it. I deserve it. And then here comes the stone cold stunner right on his soul. So the girl that he was talking about and loosely tagging in his tantrum catches wind of it and drops the DMs that he continues to send her. She goes, I know your ass ain't tweeting this like you ain't been in my DMs constantly begging me for a chance like a desperate loser and refusing to take no for an answer like a disgusting creep. And here's the receipts, Twitter. Thank you for the receipts. God bless. I'll speak on behalf of all of Twitter when I say it's much appreciated. So it begins with, would you ever want to meet up someday? I'd love to see a movie or take you to dinner. Whatever you'd like. To which she responds, I'm flattered, but for one I have a boyfriend and I don't think you even live near me. Oh, I like to travel, so it's not a problem, lol. And you're not married, right? There shouldn't be anything wrong with hanging out. No, but I don't feel like your intentions are platonic, so... She was right. She really sniffed that one out pretty quickly. You don't need to be, part of the Scooby-Doo mystery gang in order to crack this code here. She immediately deduced that this wasn't necessarily a friendship offer. This was him shooting his shot. But I love how he just immediately goes like, well, you're not married, so I mean, like... what's the harm? I don't see a ring on your finger. And he continues, No, I'm absolutely being platonic. My intention is just that I want a chance to prove that maybe I could a candidate as well. Like maybe you'd have more fun with me. Just to weigh your options, About to have me talking like a Sims character with that kind of cringe. Like, what do you mean? Weigh her options. Brother, you came out of nowhere in Twitter DMs. Why the fuck would she want to weigh options with you? Like, she's already in a relationship which she makes clear off rip and you still keep pressing. But you know what? Let's go even deeper here. We'll get into real fanfic levels of garbage and delusion. Let's assume she's in an open relationship and would actually, like, want other options, I suppose, in a partner. It's not gonna be you through Twitter DMs. That's just dangerous. No one's going to take you up on shit like this, especially not when you're coming out fucking guns blazing, fucking firing from the hip out of nowhere. And there's no possibility of that anyway in reality, because she actually shuts that down directly too. No, you're not, because you're still pushing something further even after knowing that I'm in a committed relationship with Blake, so there's no options. Learn how to take no for an answer. A lesson he absolutely refuses to learn. So he continues. I'm just confident in my abilities as a partner on all levels. I'm certain I can give you everything you desire, and perhaps better than he can. I apologize for persisting. You're just breathtaking, and I want you. I'm willing to fight for you at this point. To which she responds, there's no fighting for me, you don't know me, and you couldn't give me anything that her current partner doesn't. She lays into him. She lays down the brass tacks here. And basically he says, that's a lot of words. Too bad I'm not reading them, because he refuses to accept anything she is saying and only continues to exist in this dimension in his brain that is disconnected from the reality here. But I will say, he has piqued my curiosity. I have to know what abilities he's so confident in here. Like, balloon animals? Like, he learned a magic trick from Chris Angel? Like, what abilities are we talking about? Because it's certainly not like romantic abilities whatsoever. He's fucking cold calling like a telemarketer here through Twitter DMs. So he responds again saying, I had to give my 100%. If we're being truthful here, I don't think he deserves you. I see what he tweets and he's dorky as hell. You're hot and one of the kindest people I've ever seen on this app. What do you mean? Like, I'm guessing he just like stalks her feed or something. He's like, he's making up this fantasy in his head where it's like, this is an angel and I should be with her, clearly. This guy's too dorky, too much of a dweeb, doesn't deserve that. It's so creepy. I have a good job and I'd be willing to let you crash with me at my place for as long as you'd want if you'd be willing to give me a chance someday. That's so generous. I mean, wow. He'd be willing to let her crash at his place? Wow. And they say chivalry is dead, huh? I don't even know why he's making that offer. I don't think that's something anyone would want to do. I don't know why he's making it sound like he'd be willing to make a sacrifice by letting her live with him when he's fucking obsessed with her. It's oh my god, it's so fucking weird. I'd take care of you, but you everything you want? Oh, buy you everything you want and give you anything you'd need. I haven't found any ladies in my area that share my same interests or honestly that are as beautiful as you are. I guess you just brought out my competitive side, lol. You absolute weenie. It's not a competition. And if dating was a competition, you're gonna stay losing with an attitude like this. I don't know why he's treating it like a game of Counter-Strike where if he just plays it properly, he'll go ahead and squeak out the W. She's already in a relationship. No matter what you do here through fucking Twitter DMs, it's not going to change that and she's not going to want to go with you. No matter how much you lecture her about why her current partner doesn't deserve her, which is an outrageously weird thing to do. You don't even know them to begin with. You are just someone that is stalking their fucking Twitter feeds, I guess. Like, this whole thing is super creepy. And he just doesn't see it. So she posts these DMs, and obviously a lot of people started dunking on him for it. And instead of trying to learn from it and understand why this isn't a good thing, he takes it as another opportunity to proclaim his love for this stranger. He says, you have to be lying. Why is everyone acting like I'm crazy? Sabrina is drop-dead, sexy. Block A or Blake, whatever the fuck, is not. He's painfully average and mediocre at best. As I said before, he ain't ugly, but compared to her, he might as well be. Sabrina's figure is what I'd call perfection. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I'm trying to make a simple point. Her hair is majestic, her face is gorgeous, and her body is literally to die for. Not to mention she's strong and takes what she wants. I admire that. And she doesn't want you, so admire that, and come to terms with it. She will never want you. No matter how many times you make Twitter posts about her, obsessing over her. It's scary. It's unhinged. Stop it. Like, I don't know how else to like put it in plain terms. But even with people putting it in the plainest terms for someone to understand, he still just thinks that like his intellect is above everyone else's and no one's understanding his point. So after all of this kind of blows up, he then starts sending her more DMs about it. He comes back around into the DMs saying he didn't mean to put her on the spot, to which she responds, "You did. Now Twitter sees the creep that you are." And he says, "I don't think of myself as a creep. I'm just being honest and straightforward." And she says, "No, you're a loser and a creep who doesn't understand the word no." She's right. It's very blunt, but it is correct. The way he is behaving here is not taking no for an answer and being very creepy. Again, they don't even know each other. And he has become this obsessive over this whole situation. Like, even so much as saying, like, he doesn't deserve you, it's me, this and that. And he doesn't recognize why that's creepy. And I know that's not exclusive to just him. It's very important to have self-awareness and self-reflection where you can separate yourself from a situation, take a step back, and see how things look. He needs to be able to have that ability. That's an ability he should be confident in, so he can recognize that the way he has conducted himself here is creepy. You are a creep in this exchange, and you need to grow from it to not be like this going forward. And he just keeps going. "I thought you'd appreciate my persistence. I thought wrong. You turned the app against me. I didn't get any engagement before that tweet. People really lined up to defend that dude. I didn't think he was that liked, to be honest with you." It has nothing to do with the individual in this case. It just all has to do with you being creepy and people wanting to let you know that what you're doing is not okay. He's just not able to grasp the situation. And I also don't know why he would think this persistence would be appreciated. Again, you don't even know her. And being extremely persistent and annoying about shit is something nobody likes. Not even in a romantic partner, but in general, even as a friend. If you're just gonna keep like poking and pestering and like constantly prodding, no one's going to like that. She then explains to him again how what he's done is something nobody will appreciate, and he just ignores it and says, "Nobody on this app understands what my point even was that I was trying to make." What point? You're not making a point. You just keep saying how much you like her and find her boyfriend to be dorky and unworthy of her. What point are you talking about? There's not some like deeper underlying message that you're trying to get across that we're all too stupid to see. You're just being a weirdo for everyone to see publicly and throw tomatoes at. This is the last DM here that was shared. He says, "I treat women with the utmost respect, actually." That's the impression I got as well. Yeah, no, yeah, that's what I got when reading this too. To which he responds, "You don't when you can't accept the word no and objective women. Your loss, I guess." That's just a classic sign-off from like every single one of these meltdowns and bad romantic exchanges. Somehow it always ends with the guy saying, "Your loss. I'm actually like the best dude ever. I'm like the chillest, nicest guy ever, and you just blew it with me. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. You'll be thinking about that every night trying to go to sleep. What a big loss for you." I don't know why that's so common amongst all of this, but it is very interesting to see it every single time. But anyway, I just wanted to share this because I've been so fucking deep into these like weirdo romantic exchanges and all of that, so that's really about it. So yeah. I think most people realize by now that privacy's dead. I don't want to sound like a tinfoil hat wearing Alex Jones troglodyte or anything, but it's no secret that there's constant surveillance in the world. I still remember the day the news broke that confirmed the NSA is quite literally always watching, whether it's through inactive webcams or whatever. And you can see it pretty much daily. Like if you're having a conversation with your friends talking about lawnmowers, like, "Hey, my lawnmower just broke. I'm really upset. That lawnmower was passed down by my grandfather and his grandfather before him. I really am going to miss that bad boy, the Perkins Gobblemaster 5000. You know, I just missed that lawnmower." And then you happen to go on your phone, your ads are going to be lawnmowers. That shit happens all the time to me where I'm just talking about something and then the ads mimic what I was talking about without me ever having typed it in. It's shit like that where constantly there's signs that you're most likely being looked at in some capacity. I swear to God, this conversation has a purpose beyond me just seeming like I'm having a manic episode here of like gang stalking or something. I'm not saying that we're all just guinea pigs in a universal simulation or something by alien overlords. The reason I'm talking about this is because I watched a video where a big story just came out where some Airbnb hosts were hiding hidden cameras in their houses that they were renting out. in order to spy on the guests having sex and changing, so they'd take videos and photos without their consent and without their knowledge. And I wanted to share the video and just talk about it a little bit.
It's like a scene from a scary movie. But this really happened. This man on screen is setting up a hidden camera in his home, and not just one. This is the creepy voyeur, Christopher Rogers, convicted of using these spy cams disguised as smoke detectors to secretly record his guests in their most intimate moments.
I cut out the section where it showed some of the footage, but it was people either changing, getting naked, or taking a shower, something like that. He positioned multiple cameras across his house in order to capture these moments for his own sexual pleasure, and was recently arrested for it. And this is something I never even stopped to consider when it came to Airbnbs. I'm not a big traveler since I'm a pussy who's afraid of flying, but I did recently go to Texas and we stayed at an Airbnb, and the main thing I was concerned about was bed bugs. But now this really put the fear of God in me. Should I ever get another Airbnb, I'm gonna be going through that shit with a fine-tooth comb, be like Inspector Gadget, looking over every nook and cranny for any kind of like spy tech shit. And the hidden cameras they show here are pretty impressive. I would have no idea. Granted, I have a tiny little reptile brain, but I would have no inkling of suspicion when it came to these devices they show. It almost feels like an advertisement for these hidden cameras. They're so fucking impressive. Like, they actually seem like James Bond gadgets here, straight out of Q Laboratories.
Spy cameras you can buy online are disguised as practically everything these days. This electrical adapter has a tiny hidden lens you'd never notice. And this digital clock can record your every move. It can even transmit video live, allowing whoever's watching you to track your movements in real time.
I gotta say, this feels like a little bit of a Hollywood magic here. There's no way that digital alarm clock was live streaming that seamlessly with that high quality. I just don't fucking believe that. That'd be like a $50,000 camera or some shit. If you look at like courtroom footage from like court cam or something, they're transmitting in negative 240p at like 6 frames per minute. And you're telling me this digital alarm clock is better than all the security camera footage at these courthouses? I just don't believe it. I feel like that had to be like a little cheating there or something, but again, I could just be very naive when it comes to how advanced these hidden cameras are. Like shit, even my Sony A7, when I try and stream off, it gets blurry and a little choppy from time to time. That was extremely smooth. I felt like I was in the room watching her. Like, that shit is wild. But this is something that, again, I never even stopped to consider, but now that I know it's out there, seems like something some sick fucks would do.
It just looks like a modern digital clock.
25-year-old Isa Valdi was on vacation with friends at an apartment listed on Airbnb in Miami Beach when she says she spotted a hidden camera.
I turned around and I see a black cube that looked like a digital clock, and I'm like, there's no way. I open it up, there's a camera inside, I unplug it, and it's just like, wow, I was in shock.
Bro, this lady needs to be hired by a forensics analysis team. The ability to just sniff out something fishy with a digital alarm clock at an Airbnb is wacky. Like, good shit. Like, that is extremely impressive. Fucking Batman wouldn't be checking digital alarm clocks at a crime scene, let alone while just leisurely kicking back at an Airbnb. But she was able to, like, spot something wrong with the alarm clock and confirm that, yep, it was a hidden camera. So that's great to hear. Hopefully that person behind that is also going to jail for it. And this is something that I'm now always going to have in the back of my head anytime I'm staying at like an Airbnb or even hotels in general, because I also looked into it a bit. It's happened at hotels too, where a couple of weirdo staff members have placed hidden cameras in some hotel rooms. And it's not so much the fact that I'd be upset with them seeing my cock. It's more so the fact that I'd be upset with them seeing my flaccid cock. That's just so embarrassing. I really wouldn't wish that misery on even my worst enemy. Like, if you're gonna spy on me, at least spy on me when I'm, like, at my best. Like, when my wiener's performing admirably, instead of all sad and soft and shit.
And say they immediately became suspicious during the host's tour of the property.
He told us where we should view the sunrise and said, you know, be comfortable, you guys can look at it in the nude or in your pajamas, no one's around. That moment I thought maybe we're getting recorded.
Sure enough, he says just a few hours into their stay, he discovered it.
It's a little AC adapter.
Yep, this exact device was in the wall.
Images recovered from the tiny camera show him changing in the room. He's now suing the cabin's owner, AJ Ali.
You know this guy's guilty just from him smiling in his mugshot here. This is the face of a man who's seen more dick than a urologist through his little hidden cameras throughout his Airbnb lodge. And he also sounds like the dumbest criminal of all time, like, hey, you wild and wacky college kids, come over here. If you guys want to be naked, all power to you. But why not be naked in this exact spot? If you look on the ground, I have some tape down there. Those are your marks. If you could stand there while naked and admiring the sunset, it's for optimal viewing. And also, please don't put any bags over by that desk over there. I need to keep that area completely clear for, spiritual reasons. Don't put any bags over there. I don't want anything obstructing that table. And don't unplug that AC adapter, no matter what you do. It powers the entire house. Hey, and now have fun out there. Like, he immediately just trips all kinds of red flags for this guy to eventually find where he's being spied on from, which has now led to this guy's arrest. And he's apparently been doing this for quite some time, considering they've recovered so many images from him.
He was arrested and charged with invasive visual recording after police say a laptop revealed more than 2,000 images taken inside the rental home, which was also listed on other property sites. He's pleaded not guilty.
This is a felony in the state of Texas.
The evidence is overwhelming.
Included in the images that we have on the computer are images of him setting up the camera in the room.
And that was something I immediately thought of. Maybe I've been watching too much Better Call Saul, but I was trying to think of how he could possibly plead not guilty and get away with this. And the only conclusion I could draw was if they tried to blame it on one of the guests. Like, no, that hidden camera is not mine. It doesn't belong to me. It must have been one of my wild guests that came in there and just used my place as some kind of sexual hotspot without my knowledge. You know, just treat it like a boogeyman, like, oh, some kind of cryptid must have broken in. A burglar came in and installed these hidden cameras across my house. It wasn't me that did it. Because it would be kind of hard to prove that the actual Airbnb owner was the one who installed them, because, I mean, I guess it could have been someone else. But the fact that this guy's such a fucking idiot that he recorded himself setting up the cameras makes it a pretty open and shut case, I would imagine. And just like that first guy who recorded himself setting it up too.
We'd just like to talk to you if we could.
He wasn't happy to see us.
Were you secretly filming people, sir?
He gets out of his truck and takes a swipe at my mic.
No, thank you. Have a good day. Bye. See y'all later. Have a good day.
He says all the accusations are false, calling them fake lawsuits, just looking for money.
When he revved up his truck engine, I really expected him to go full Dominic Toretto and just bust through his own gate and just storm up to his house and just hang out in there to avoid being interviewed. But yeah, to my surprise, he did get out of the car and try and slap the mic out of her hand. Didn't really offer too much of an explanation for his innocence or anything, but of course, you know, he didn't have his lawyer present, so it makes sense that he wouldn't give like the most intricate of defenses or anything. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to talk about this since I just got back from traveling, and now this has given me a little more food for thought for the next time I travel. Just maybe I'll do a bit of a sweep through the area to see if there's any hidden cameras. But yeah, that's about it. So yeah, stand back, I'm being brave. Stalkers are bad. Just deranged individuals, absolute sick weirdos. And I just learned about a new stalker I didn't know existed until Matt sent me this video where he went to court and immediately just proclaimed he's guilty as charged. It's Caitlin Clark's stalker. And this guy looks like he was biologically engineered to end up as a lunatic stalker. He looks exactly like what you imagine, like that caricature you make in your head, of an obsessed loser.
Morning, Mr. Lewis.
Guilty as
No, sir. This is initial hearing.
Oh.
We are not. You have a right to remain silent, and I expect you to exercise that. Okay, this is just telling you what the charges are. You do not listen. I'll give you a chance to talk. Not your time.
Throw me the bookie.
Stop talking.
Buddy really thought this was going to be like his Joker moment. I bet he thought that line went really hard. Or maybe he really does recognize that the world is a better place with him locked away, because he is begging the judge to just throw the book at him. Buddy stares right down the pipe on the camera, so I'm guessing he wanted to make like a famous moment for himself out of all of this. He looks like Charles Manson if he had a Funko Pop addiction.
Charging documents lay out how prosecutors say a man, quote, terrorized, frightened, and intimidated one of the country's most popular athletes. Indiana Fever superstar Caitlin Clark. Michael Lewis faces a felony stalking charge after allegedly traveling to Indianapolis to be near her.
Now, Mr. Looney Lewis was sending threatening and sexual messages to Caitlin Clark on Twitter mainly. And the messages, well, at least some of them are still there. Like, some of the tweets are still there. It's a ton. He very much was infatuated with her, obsessed, and even traveled to Indianapolis to be close to her. Very dangerous, unhinged shit. His most recent messages are kind of nonsensical gibberish, though I can make out the first one there, which is "you buyin'." Very much sounds like the Resident Evil 4 weapons merchant. But the one after that, "you be coffalogopus," okay? Don't know what the fuck that is. He must have just flopped his meat on the keyboard and just hit enter. That is actual nothingness. And then as you continue to scroll through his tweets, they become a little more lucid, and they are almost always directed at Caitlin Clark, directly to her, except for these two right there, where I guess he was arguing with someone. And then it's right back onto his life's mission of being in this imaginary relationship with Caitlin Clark. This is the people you're arguing with on Twitter, by the way. Assuming they're not just bots, which a lot of the platform is, the actual flesh, blood, and cringe that are just constantly fighting on Twitter like professional tweeters, this is what they look like in real life, by the way. Anyway, though, if you just scroll through his fucking Twitter, it's nothing but him talking about being with Caitlin Clark. He also has this fixation on making out. He constantly mentions, "You want to make out with me? When are we making out? Hey, let's start making out." He speaks as though the only thing he's ever watched in his life is Degrassi, and now he's under the impression that that's how people talk to one another. It's so odd. It's so weird. It just goes on and on and on. Like, these are all from the same day. Do you even like to make out? And the one before that is, once again, no spaces. Your puss needs a real good pounding. You're not into like, it's just, it's absolute insanity. He is very clearly a textbook definition of a dangerous stalker. He even went to her area to be near her. And I'm absolutely shocked that the authorities did something. They don't usually take stalking super seriously, but in this case, he's getting charged. They apprehended him, and it looks like they are going to throw the bookie at him, as he said, which I think is great. They may have just saved her life, because these kind of people, they snap. We've seen this shit happen tons and tons of times. And how many stories have we, like on the channel, gone over where stalkers weren't taken seriously and then something really bad happened, and then all of a sudden the most preventable tragedy ever unfolds. So I'm happy to see they're actually doing something about this.
Police say he admitted it is a, quote, imaginary relationship, with dozens of posts on X directly tagging Clark, including a number of threatening and sexually explicit messages, according to prosecutors, even posting after an initial encounter with police. An attorney for Lewis hasn't been listed online.
I'm going to make a bold prediction. Usually I'm wrong, but in this case, I feel very confident. I think he's going to represent himself. I'm very certain of it. I think he's going to waive his right to an attorney and say, fuck it, we'll do it live, and he's going to do it himself. That's my prediction. We'll see how it unfolds, but I just wanted to lock that one in, so if it happens, I look like a goddamn prophet for it. Now, even outside of that short video clip, it doesn't seem the rest of the proceeding was a slam dunk for him. It was clear from just that short 30 seconds the judge was already really fed up with that behavior, but he continued to have other outbursts. He even contradicted himself, claiming that the prosecutors got the wrong guy because they didn't attach Junior to his name. Overall, he just wasn't treating it very seriously, even though he could face up to like 6 years in jail from what I was reading. But he just doesn't seem to give a fuck. So he's from Texas and apparently lives in his vehicle, drove it to Indianapolis, and was arrested at a hotel in Indianapolis after posting the messages and saying things like, "Getting tickets, I'm sitting behind the bench." And then he even makes this tweet here, which references that they are actively coming for him. They said I was sending threatening texts, but the only thought on my mind was, Caitlin, caps lock. Interestingly enough, I went to the first tweet from Michael Lewis, and it's from January 7th. So he hasn't really been doing this for all that long, but every single tweet since January 7th, all 887 of them, pretty much, are directed to Caitlin Clark. So his first one, no greater love than to lay down your life, ... So he's a relatively new stalker. He's still in his rookie season here. He's been doing it for about 2 weeks, and it was so egregious that authorities are actually acting on it, which is a good thing. I also think there's a chance that this isn't his first time stalking. After going through so many of his tweets, I feel like he's probably done this to others, but not on this account. I feel like he probably makes accounts like this. The name of this account is RacerX2031. That's an Xbox Live generated gamertag, basically. That's fucking nothing. So I bet he probably makes specific accounts for the sole purpose of stalking individuals, and this one was for Caitlin Clark, his most recent obsession. But I just get the feeling he's definitely done this in the past, too. That's just a hunch, though. Either way, really good news that he has been taken in by authorities. Fucking weirdo stalker. That's really about it. So yeah. This afternoon I was having a pretty good day, so I decided to ruin it by going on Twitter. It's part of my daily routine to check in on Twitter just to make myself mad, as every sane person does, no doubt. And today was nothing special, just endless piles of trash. But while dumpster diving, I found something pretty interesting and alarming. It's a series of posts from a popular streamer named Amaranth. She's massive on Twitch, I'm sure she needs no introduction, I'm positive you all are familiar with her work. She basically invented hot tubs. And on her personal account, she made a series of tweets talking about her stalker. And this shit is fucking scary. It reads like something right out of a Stephen King novel. So I wanted to go over the tweets with all of you, as well as talk about the bigger problem of stalkers on Twitch. Because it's not exclusive to just Amaranth. I think Amaranth has had the most stalkers. She's had like 1,000 stalkers at this point, I think. She's had like an entire fucking football squad worth of stalkers, and that includes third string and bench players. She could fill up an entire Comic-Con convention center with just her stalkers. It's absolutely terrible, and again, it's not just Amaranth. Tons of streamers have talked about their personal experiences with the problem, and one that's always stuck out to me is a really frightening one. I won't name the streamer's name, but there's a streamer on Twitch who has had a problem with a member of her community for almost 4 years now, I believe. And this guy has flown down to her city, uninvited, unannounced, to try and track her down and find her. And while doing that, even broke into another streamer's house while they were streaming, went on their stream and tried to use them to reach out to that streamer on their behalf to track her down for them. Absolute fucking lunacy. And they have also, the stalker has also written a manifesto that's over 400 pages long and still being updated to this day. An actual fucking Harry Potter's book worth of delusion and all about like dating the streamer and all kinds of wild shit in there. It's just straight up horrifying and downright sad. So now let's go through Amaranth's tweets today. This is her alt account. She says that her stalker traveled from Estonia, came to her city and camped out in a hotel with a line of sight to her P.O. box and spent over a month camping out daily at a Starbucks next to the P.O. box and streamed it the entire time. Typically to 0 viewers, but growing as he gained notoriety, and every time his account would be taken down, he would just make a new one. This is already so much to digest right here. 44 days and 33 minutes, according to Amaranth, and I'm guessing that's based on how long the stream was up for, based on VODs and all of that, so it was probably realistically a bit more than that, because I'm sure he was there longer off camera. So that is fucking terrifying. Not only was she being stalked, but he was doing it publicly to an audience. Mind-blowing. Camping out at a nearby Starbucks so that way he could be constantly monitoring the P.O. box, hoping to catch her. Like Elmer Fudd trying to set a trap for Bugs Bunny. But that's just the beginning. She said that he'd change his name by just adding more numbers to it, and by his own admission went full scorched earth and sold everything. He sold his house, his car, all his possessions, his cat, and by his own admission again, in publicly posted vlogs, a manifesto. The only thing he brought with him was phone, clothes on his back, and a saxophone, as well as the saxophone case. And he would play the saxophone in some live streams and in public places, and it allowed him to carry around a giant instrument case, which Amaranth said made her nervous because you can put weapons in an instrument case, and I honestly think it's a pretty reasonable fear to have because it makes no sense that he sold everything else except for a fucking saxophone and its case, unless he was planning on becoming like a traveling saxophone performer, like just going around and playing Careless Whisper forever. It makes no sense why he sold everything except that saxophone in its case. Which I agree is very weird, but I think the most concerning thing here is the fact that he sold all of his shit before moving from Europe to be near Amaranth and try and track her down. The fact that he sold everything prior to doing all of this is that kind of behavior that people do right before doing something drastic, like something life ruining and changing. The fact that he'll just cut all ties to everything he's ever owned like that, the whole nothing left to lose mentality, is absolutely fucking terrifying. She goes on saying that she would make it very clear that she didn't want to meet him, didn't want to be anywhere near him, but he would respond by just saying, "Liar, liar, fiance," and would make dancing videos reminiscent of Buffalo Bill dancing scene and send them to her. And then she posts a picture of it. This whole situation is deeply disturbing, and the fact that he would send videos to her privately is just super fucked up as well. Literally just rubbing it in her face that he is stalking her, and there's nothing she can do about it because the law enforcement wasn't acting very efficiently here, clearly. And then the picture she posts is also super eerie. It looks like something straight out of the SCP wiki. Like, it looks like a goddamn cryptid captured on photograph. It's just an awful, awful situation. She also briefly mentioned that he adopted a feral cat, which wasn't really seen again on the streams, and then says that on Monday the 13th, he streamed himself dressed up and carrying his musical instrument case and changed into formal attire and made the last mile journey to her house and cased the vicinity for 30 minutes, to which the cops declined to act. He streamed himself outside, mumbling about how he knew it was wrong, but he has to. And then he tried breaking in and tried to gain entry, to which Amaranth again called 911, says dispatch was rude, cutting her off, put her on hold, and it took 33 minutes for the 911 responders to finally get there. Amaranth did have armed personnel on standby at her residence, according to her, that would have acted if he successfully broke in. But luckily it didn't come down to that. Law enforcement did get there. He got arrested, got detained, and she says the embassy was contacted and he's currently not in Houston, and that's all she can share for now. Luckily this story has a somewhat happy ending. They got arrested and got kicked out of Houston, hopefully also put behind bars. But there's a lot more to talk about here that I'd like to get into, and that's the law enforcement's response to stalking. One thing that's remained consistent across every single story of a Twitch streamer sharing their personal experience with stalkers, the one thing that is a constant is that law enforcement doesn't do anything about it. In extremely rare cases, they'll allow them to get a restraining order, but even that's super uncommon, it seems. They just don't take it seriously. I understand, like, stalking and, like, trying to act on it as law enforcement is a pretty tough situation to be in because, it's not Minority Report where they can tell who's going to commit a crime before it happens or whatever. They're not Tom Cruise. And that's kind of the same thing here with stalking. They're trying to prevent a crime or an escalation without it having happened yet, so they don't have all of, like, the evidence to tell them, like, it's going to happen, so it makes it tough for them to actually act. But I really think in situations like this, they should be a lot more understanding and accepting of evidence. This guy streamed 44 days worth of continuous stalking and harassment, and it's all documented, all of it shared, and yet they still didn't take it seriously until he showed up at the residence, and even when he was there actively trying to break in, they didn't show up for 33 minutes and didn't take it seriously. There needs to be some kind of new way of handling this kind of situation, or it's going to continue and get worse. Another streamer named Sweet Anita also had a similar problem with a stalker, except law enforcement was somehow even more inept here when it came to the situation. This stalker would publicly threaten her, send her threatening messages about how he's going to kill her, gut her, use a knife and slit her open, and just like crazy, unhinged shit. And in real life, would actually sit outside of her house and follow her around and even tried to assault her. And still, law enforcement didn't take it seriously for the longest fucking time. It's like law enforcement's hands are tied until they actually commit the crime and kill the person. But when there's this many red flags, why not act preventatively? Like, why not have a preventative measure in place? Like, okay, this guy's publicly making threats, sending these threats about how he's going to kill her, and is actively sitting outside her fucking house. Maybe we should do something about this individual. So yeah, I just think there needs to be some kind of system in place to be a bit harder on stalking, where when there's this much evidence of like threats and then like actually acting on some of the things they're saying in the real world, they need to take that more seriously and be harder on it. Like, if you actually show up, you're getting arrested. If you're within 5 miles of this person, you're getting arrested. Like I said, sometimes there's restraining orders, sometimes they trespass the individual, but even in those cases, it's pretty uncommon they even do that much. So I just think they need to be a little bit more intense on their stalking laws in order to prevent an actual tragedy from occurring. And it's happened before. There's plenty of cases where stalkers have been reported, law enforcement didn't act, and then the stalker ends up killing the victim. Most recently, I think it was last year, and I think this was in the UK, there was a teenager that reported a stalker 5 times and then even got fined 90 euros for wasting law enforcement's time, and then the stalker ended up killing them. A complete failure from the law enforcement there. And that's not an isolated case. It's happened before. I just think in general, there's more the law enforcement agencies can be doing to prevent something like that when it comes to stalking. And then another thing that I'd like to mention is why there seems to be so many stalkers on Twitch in particular. And I think that's because, and I've said this before, you're interacting directly with the streamer you're watching. So for mentally unwell individuals, they get this false sense that they're now friends, and in certain cases, lovers. So a lot of times you'll see these stalkers have the delusion that because they've donated to a streamer or they subbed to the streamer, they're now like romantically involved with each other. And that gives them some sense of entitlement. And when they realize that, the streamer doesn't feel that way about them and doesn't even know they exist, they start to get mad, lash out, and then you see all of these fucking wild, crazy messages and these threats that they'll make and these meltdowns, and it's terrible. You hate to see it. It's absolutely terrible. But it's not like the streamer's fault or anything. That's entirely just because there's so many people on Twitch. Some of them are bound to be mentally unwell and take these parasocial relationships to an extreme level. Parasocial relationships are bad, no exceptions, but they're even worse when the person believes they have control over the streamer or possession of them because they've donated money. Now they're dating and all of this, and then they find out that the streamer is, romantically involved with someone else. In the real world, they lose it, go wild, and then ends up in these crazy stalking situations or whatever. It's just a terrible situation that's only been getting worse as Twitch continues to grow. It's not really a problem with the solution, though. There's not a whole lot Twitch can do to prevent that because they can't control the mental health of its users, right? And it's not the streamer's fault who are just streaming and then get someone that keeps donating to them and thinks that they're best friends or they're in love or something because of the money they've given. Like, there's not much you can really do there other than acknowledge, like, hey, look, I'm just a streamer. I appreciate the support and the generosity, but this doesn't make us friends. We're not in love. I don't know you. Ludwig had a whole video called I'm Not Your Friend, where he just says, like, parasocial relationships are bad. I appreciate that you come to the streams and are generous, but I'm not your friend. And that's really all you can do as a streamer, but that's not going to solve the problem either. There's still going to be those people that cross that line and think that, oh, we're best friends now because I watch them every day or I give them money, and then it ends up in these very awful scenarios and like even creates stalkers in some cases. It's just bad all around, and I don't know the solution to it, but I just wanted to at least highlight that it is a problem, but will hopefully stop being a problem in the near future. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to talk about this whole subject, and that's about it. So yeah. Over the last couple of months, I've analyzed more text messages than the FBI. I have been glued to bad romance and flirting like a moth to a flame. I've been wandering the deepest, darkest pits of filth. It's like in Space Jam when Michael Jordan gets sucked into the golfing hole. I've been sucked into the asshole of the internet, and all I see is cringe down here. But today, there's a new ingredient being added to this concoction. The recipe had a chemical X. Crime. This got posted to Reddit earlier today, and a lot of people sent it my way, and it actually reminded me of a real criminal case that happened back in 2022, and I actually found the case again through the comment section of this post, because I couldn't quite recall all the particulars of it, but there is a lot of similarities shared between that criminal case in 2022 and these text messages that this individual is showcasing here. So it starts with this girl's coworker messaging her out of the blue saying, "Hey." He receives crickets, no response, silence. And you know what they say, if at first you don't succeed, try being weirder. So he comes back around within 3 hours saying, "Hello? Is this blank?" She says, "Who is this?" And he goes, It's me," with a smiley face. "I just wanted to text you and see how things were." "Oh, things are going alright, I suppose. Not to come off as rude, but how did you get my number, dude? I mean, I don't mind you texting me, but I've never gave it to you." And that's when he lifts up the curtain and breaks the magician's code, revealing his secret method. I just grabbed it off the contact sheet in the office room. Hope that's alright. To which she says nothing in response because that is fucking creepy. She never gave him her number. He just went out of his way to find it from their workplace. Yucky. But he comes back around saying, "How's it going?" And he just keeps going, throwing questions at the wind here, hoping to receive even the slightest semblance of life on the other side, not realizing that he has already scared her by snooping around tracking down her phone number without ever getting it from her directly. So it's already super creepy to do that. So he says, "How was your New Year's?" No response. 2 days later. "Sorry to keep texting, but what are you up to today? If you're free later, I'd love to go out." I will never understand that kind of shit right there. How can you be so deluded and lost in your own little fantasy land Narnia that you think there's even an iota of a chance that she agrees to go out with you when she has ignored your messages for 4 fucking days? Like, what is the thought process? Scratching at his chin. Maybe she's playing hard to get. Perhaps she's just been truly swamped and has been really wanting to reply to me but just might be a bit shy and doesn't know how. I know. I'll go ahead and invite her out with me. That should make her a lot more comfortable. And he goes a bit deeper. "I know you're probably busy, but I could pick you up too, so you wouldn't have to take the bus anywhere. If you wanted to go out, that is. Sorry to keep texting, but I don't want to be out too late, so I'd appreciate a response at some point, smiley. I'm heading out to get coffee now, so if you want to join me, just let me know. Ma'am, you better hurry. The choo-choo train is leaving and Mr. Perfect is going with it. You only have one opportunity to get coffee with a gentle sir like this, so you really gotta play your cards right." She declines, saying, "I would appreciate it if you didn't text me unless it's work-related. I don't really know you, and I'm only blank. You're 5 years older than me, dude. This just feels creepy." I didn't mean to be creepy or anything. You're just pretty, and I thought it would be cool if we got to hang out, smiley. No thanks. That's honestly so weird, and if you continue to ask, I'm going to talk to Lean about this. I'm assuming that's like their supervisor or someone higher up at the place they work. And then he goes in deep. He says, "I'm not gonna lie. I've been thinking about you a lot, and I just want you to spend time with me. What you said the other day just felt rude. At least try and give this a chance. I know you're probably not awake, but I've been up all night thinking about you. Not going to lie, sometimes I like to take pictures of your ass while you're in the drive-thru window and I jerk off to them in the bathroom." I'll go ahead and take a courtesy pause here to give everyone a brief respite and let that nugget marinate in this sauce here because he just dropped a real heavy, spicy meatball on the plate. And when I first read it, I certainly wasn't ready for that because that's just openly admitting to a crime. I'm not a sheriff or anything, but I'm pretty confident that that's illegal. He'd probably be taken away in handcuffs if this information got out, which it should. She should absolutely report all of this. Now, somehow it actually only gets worse from here. This is just the beginning. He's showing his true face, and man oh man, is it an extraordinarily ugly one. I know that's messed up, but imagine if we fucked in the work bathroom, or if we went out in public. I honestly just love the idea of having a little helpless bitch under my control. I know you're so much younger, but you should give it a shot. Older men can be so much fun to be with. No one at work would have to know. Hello? Sorry for calling, but I'm really lonely and you haven't replied to me at all. Since the text messages are going unanswered, I guess he's resorted to actually just calling her, which is also being ignored, obviously, because that's the safest thing you can do is ignore it. So I can't believe the revelation that it turns out he's lonely. Who would have seen that coming? With smooth talking like this dude's got all the game in the world. This man's a fucking apex predator, a grizzly bear, a champion of Riz here. I can't believe that he, of all people, would somehow be lonely. What a curveball. He then tries to brush all that under the rug, trying to apologize for it. Sorry about last night. I got carried away. I know you're probably not even reading these, but I hope you have a good day, smiley. I'll be thinking of you. I really don't see an issue. It's not like a romantic date or anything. It would just be getting coffee and food. And if you were in the mood, we could always go to my place to watch a movie. I know it sounds creepy, but why not just get out and enjoy the day together? What in the hell is even that? What are you talking about? It's not like a romantic thing or anything. You were just talking about fucking in the workplace bathroom. And then you were talking about having a helpless bitch under your control. What do you mean it's just coffee? You're already showing how extraordinarily creepy and perverse you are. What are you yapping about? He's blabbermouthing about a bunch of hooey. And that's when she finally does respond to all this and says, "All right, man, I'm probably going to report you to the police. You know damn well that I'm underage and you're texting me in the middle of the night like that. Fuck off." And then he drops her address and says, "If you continue to ignore me, I'll just make it so you can't. If you tell anyone, I'll make this even worse for you." So it turns out she's underage, and he was well aware of that fact. And he also would have been even more aware of that fact considering he snooped through the confidential workplace documents to find her address and her phone number. So it would have been abundantly clear that she is underage, and he didn't care. He still went for this full throttle. So he's also a pedophile on top of all of this. Now he concludes their conversation by dropping her address to obviously try and scare her, letting her know that he knows where she lives and he can always pay her a visit. And a lot of people in the comments, and I think a lot of people in general, would assume that that's just supposed to be like some kind of scare tactic to get her to not say anything. Not necessarily that he's going over there right this instant to do something, but that is still a legitimate threat, and I imagine an actionable threat that the authorities can use. This is one of those situations that really shouldn't be taken lightly, and it seems like it isn't. It seems like she's taken the proper measures here, like contacting authorities or contacting workplace staff and all that, which is what she should be doing, because this is just legitimately dangerous. I mentioned at the start that it reminded me of a case from 2022, where a man killed his 17-year-old coworker because he had a huge crush on her, and since he couldn't have her, nobody could. Her name was Riley Whitelaw, and she was murdered at her place of work by this individual. He recently got sentenced in October of 2023 for the murder, and it is just horrifying. Now, Riley had previously made a complaint to the employment about how uncomfortable he made her with like the advances that he would make on her and all of that, and even asked to like have her schedule changed so they wouldn't have to work together. And despite all of that, they still worked together. The place of employment did not change her schedule around to get her away from him or anything like that. They continued to work together despite all of her complaints until it eventually culminated with him killing her. It's a tragic story. Fucking horrifying. And it reminds me of the text messages we just read right there, where a coworker becomes infatuated with someone and then eventually does something disgusting like that. So reading through these text messages, it is a concerning individual in a scary situation. And it's something I think about from time to time about how awful it must be to just be doing your job, doing nothing wrong at all, and then still ending up in a situation like this. This girl never made any advances toward this guy. She never even gave him her number or anything at all. And yet somehow he still became obsessed with her and then stalked her company documents to find her phone number and her address and all of that. It's just so awful. She's literally just doing her job and then gets put in a situation like this because of this absolute lunatic. So yeah, just wanted to talk about it a little bit. I think situations like these should always be taken seriously. Like if a coworker or anyone for that matter starts to get like a level of obsession with you that it becomes a bit palpable, that you can start to see it, it immediately needs to be something that you take very seriously because you never know where it could lead. And I think that is just always something that needs to be handled with real care. So just wanted to go over this a little bit. That's really it. So yeah. If I was to ever do a tier list of creepy guys on the internet, the guy I'm about to show you would be the undeniable top tier triple S super smokin' style creep god. The individual you're about to see almost makes that guy that was sending pig carcasses to the coworker he loved seem sane. I know I've called one other person in a video the creepiest guy ever, but the man I'm about to show you today, I think is far more disturbed, so much so that I'm actually somewhat concerned for the safety of the people around him. I'm sure you've seen this video floating around right now because it's going viral, and for good reason. It is scary.
The Cracker Barrel, and I was going to play a song for a woman that I kind of like, and I got there, and she saw me, and she immediately pulled away, and I wasn't forcing her to listen or anything, you know, I just wanted to play the song for her. You know, give her own choice if she wanted to be with me.
Now, I'll quickly bring you up to speed on what's happening right now with the lore. So the cops are there because the guy called them, I believe. So he's a Kaioken times 10 weirdo. He called the cops because he wanted to report this girl's dad, a girl that he chased around while playing his music to try and win her love. And his music is downright horrifying. It sounds like 5 trash cans being violently slammed together while someone's getting murdered in an alleyway for the vocals. I have been so deep in this rabbit hole learning about this man. It's been like an episode of Mike Rowe's Dirty Jobs just gathering all this information. I'm gonna play you just a quick snippet from one of his tracks.
Fire sprout to the moon, to the top and grow! Elements coming together now! Whoa! Feel the rap!
The voice of an angel. I can't believe this plan didn't work. It's so romantic it sounds straight out of a Disney film. He also keeps saying he was giving her a choice to listen to his music and fall in love with him. Even though there's no choice here because he was stalking her and chasing her, playing this over his fucking boombox, I guess. But anyway, she was so frightened that she ended up calling her dad, and her dad got in contact with him and said some mean things to him. So the guy then called the cops on the dad, hoping to like get him arrested or file something against him.
You know?
Does she know you?
Yeah, I worked with her there for like 5-6 months.
Did y'all have a relationship?
No, we were talking a little bit, but it never really got serious.
Okay.
But anyways, I pulled up there, and I was in the other parking lot, and I saw her get in her car, and I was like, oh shoot, it's my moment. So I pulled up there next to her, and she pulled away from me, and so I chased her a little bit, just because, I don't know, women are crazy. Like, I felt like she like wanted me to chase her.
Do you not think chasing somebody's crazy?
Well, it's just like, I only went like a couple blocks down the street.
God, it's so sad that women can't appreciate a good, nice guy like this. Women are so weird. How can they not appreciate a complete psychopath chasing them around for a few blocks while blaring music that sounds like the soundtrack to a slaughterhouse?
Just saying, don't you think chasing somebody's crazy when they obviously don't want to?
Well, I had my song playing, and I wanted to like her to hear it maybe.
Well, apparently she didn't want to hear it, right? So what else happened? Let's get on with this.
His complete lack of remorse and disconnection from reality is startling. Oh no, it's not weird, like I'm not weird. Why are you trying to say that I'm the crazy one for chasing her? I had my song playing. Oh, did I forget to mention that? My song was playing, so now everything's justified. Like, I wanted her to hear it so she'd have a choice to fall in love with me, obviously.
Her father called me up, and he made some threats to me and to my life.
Okay.
And so I just want to have his name on file.
What did he say to you?
I think he said he's going to stab me, like, but he's like cussing at me.
He said that, or he did say that?
He says, I'm going to do something to you. I swear I'd do something to you.
For chasing his daughter?
Yeah, but it wasn't chasing. It was like going down a couple streets. Like, that's like fun to women. Like, women like that. A little bit of excitement.
No, they don't.
Fucking unhinged logic. No, I wasn't chasing her. It was like minor stalking. You know, that's nothing. Women love to be stalked. Like, it's fun to them. It's exciting. God, what an absolute lunatic. So yeah, the dad calls, apparently made threats against him because I'm assuming his daughter called him in a panic, like, holy shit, this guy's coming after me, and I'm fucking horrified. So the dad is trying his best to, like, stop anything bad from happening, so I'm sure the dad in this, like, passionate moment's like, leave her the fuck alone, or I'm gonna do something about it, I'll give you a knuckle sandwich, why I oughta. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all, to try and protect his daughter, keep her safe, doing what he can from a distance, like, get the fuck away from her, you creep.
Women don't like to be chased.
What about, like,
if I was a
porn?
father, I'd probably tell you the same thing.
What about, like, BDSM porn, where women like to have rape fantasies?
Well, apparently this girl doesn't.
Well, who knows? Most women do like having rape fantasies.
It took us only about a minute for him to start mentioning rape after talking about stalking and, you know, downplaying how stalking's not a big deal. Immediately brings it to BDSM and rape fantasies. From fucking out of nowhere. Oh, you're gonna call me crazy for chasing her? Well, what about rape? You know, there's the rape fantasies in porn, what about that, And then he has the gall, the chutzpah to say most women have a rape fantasy. It's blowing my mind here, this guy's thought process. Fucking crazy. I'm also 100% sure he's never had an actual conversation with a woman. When he mentioned at the beginning they were kind of talking, I imagine it's because they were coworkers, and she said, like, hi to him occasionally, or, like, while they were working were like, hey, need to do this. And that to him was like meaningful interaction with a human female. This is like a scary individual. His brain immediately jumps to rape when confronted with his actions.
Okay. Do you think she does?
I don't know. But
Apparently she don't.
well,
So what do you want us to do?
well, I just want you to get his name on file just in case he does do anything
Do
to
you
me.
know his name?
I know his daughter's name.
What do you know his name?
I know her name. I don't know his name. He called me from a restricted phone number.
Okay. Here's my suggestion. Leave her alone.
A great suggestion from the officer here. Superb. Just get the fuck away from her. Leave her alone. Solves all the issues here. Case closed. Didn't even need Dr. Phil on this one to get to the bottom of it. The solution was obvious. Just get away from her.
Well, this is one song I made, and this was the final chance I was going to have.
Here's my chance. Here's my advice. It's over. Leave her alone.
Okay.
Fathers will hurt you over their daughters.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is she needs to have her own free will, man. You gotta understand, I'm a man myself, bro, and I have needs myself.
She's choosing her free will by telling her daddy what happened to you, and I'm telling you, stay away from her because he will hurt you probably.
She's being controlled by him.
For some reason, he's so delusional, he keeps thinking that she doesn't have her own authority to make her own choices, yet keeps saying she needs her own free will. She had her own free will by running away from you. By, like, being scared of you, running away, and then telling her dad that is her making choices to try and protect herself from you. Because you are the threat. You're the fucking danger that's knocking on her door, and she is responding with her own free will of getting the fuck away from you as fast and efficiently as possible. It's just such a scary thought process because in his mind, he's totally justified in everything that happened here, and it's all normal to him. And the fact that she's not in love with him right now, not in his arms, in his bed, is because her dad is forcing her to make choices to split the two apart. It's not her making those choices because he's perfect. The guy with his music, his mixtape that sounds like 5 fucking squirrels being blown to pieces, he thinks his music's the best and he's the best man in the world, so there's no way she is choosing on her own free will to not be with him. That is a dangerous thought process.
That's fine. That's fine. That's her choice, right? Free choice, free will.
I think she should go do porn.
Okay, you need to leave.
It's legal.
You need to leave.
Well,
We're not doing anything. You need to leave.
I'm having discussion on.
I'm having a discussion telling you to leave.
I actually appreciate how the officer handles this situation here. He's not giving this guy an inch. He is fighting him on every point he tries to make. Not that any of his points have any logical basis whatsoever or any sound reasoning, but I like that the officer's pushing back on everything, and he crosses a line when he says she should do porn. Where does that even come from? Like, everything this guy is saying is a giant red flag, and he needs legitimate help.
I was going to let her make her own choice after the song.
Well, she's made her choice.
And I just don't think she had a reasonable opportunity to make a choice because I'm going to blow up and I'm going to be a famous DJ and I'm going to be like...
How old is she?
He still really believes that because she didn't finish listening to his song, she didn't have the right to say no. She didn't have reasonable basis for declining and rejecting him, I suppose. He believes he's going to blow up and be a famous DJ or this and that, thus she's making a huge mistake and needs to reconsider the choice, and her dad's making her choose this. It's fucking terrifying.
Oh shit. You know what? Lindsay's dad, I hope you see this fucking video.
Now, just like in The Dark Knight, we have the Joker turning the camera on himself here, and we get to take a look at him. And he really still believes everything he's done is justified and that the girl and her dad are the villains here.
You know what happens when women don't ever, come to terms with themselves? Bad shit happens. I don't know. Something the cops want to deny.
And this right here I think should be taken very seriously. This is not a mentally well person. And this comes across as an actual threat against the safety of both the girl and her father here. He's already shown that he has no problem stalking women, and I really think this needs to be looked at seriously to make sure that he's not in a position to do harm to anyone around him. It's just very concerning.
Me trying to get her to be straight. Something is wrong about that. I don't see why these traditional ass motherfuckers think they can speak shit whenever it's this woke belligerent LGBT shit that has her.
right now. I just don't see it. I'm older than their fucking father. That's how I feel right now.
Yeah, this rant's really going off the fucking rails. So apparently the girl isn't interested in men, and his plan was to make her interested in men by giving her his love as well as letting her listen to his songs. And when she still wasn't interested, she blames the dad. Like, the dad is the one that's made his daughter not like him, and then says that he is older than her dad. Like, it's so fucking wild. But it is all very concerning to listen to. I just wanted to share this because I do think this is the creepiest guy I've seen online so far. And I truly hope that everyone involved here is safe, and hopefully this guy gets the help that he very much needs. Anyway, that's about it. See ya.